Hey Facebook Live, this is Tara Sage. I am on the road and here in Savannah, Georgia, and I met a lovely, inspiring woman named Cecile. I hope I pronounce it right, Cecile, from Quebec.
Yes,
Montreal,
Quebec.
Montreal, Quebec, and she is so inspiring. Her story is so inspiring, and she is an absolute rule breaker. As I've shared earlier, I have a book in the works that I'm writing about breaking rules, bullshit rules, and I had to I asked if she'd be willing, and she was so gracious and willing to be interviewed. So we're going to talk for about 10 minutes and get a sense of Cecile's amazing story in hopes that it inspires you to break some rules and live your life in a way that is yours. So, Cecile, introducing Cecile, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm French-Canadian from Montreal, so you will see you will hear, my French accent. My vocabulary in English is not perfect, but I managed to have discussion with Tara, lovely Tara, so I am very happy to tell you that I left Montreal November the 1st and for a 6-month road trip with my small trailer. I bought my trailer 2 years ago just to get comfortable, to be able to back it up and to be able to hook it to the car and to be autonome, to do it by myself.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm always open to have help. I really like people, even if I travel alone and by myself. So it's the first time I will spend Christmas by myself, away from my sister, nephew, and nieces. But
yeah.
I think that the peace is in my heart, even if sometimes the tears are in my eyes. But I have a lovely dream that I'm making true.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So she started crying, and I started crying, and I said, "The truth makes me cry, and dreamers in action makes me cry." And here's a woman traveling solo, which is so incredibly brave, doing something for 6 months here on the road. Behind us is her home, which we're not going to show too much of because of just the limitations of video and my limitations of knowing how to do this very well. But behind us is her home, and I want you to tell us a little bit more about the dream that was in your heart to do this.
Yes.
Yes. So, when was that seeded for you?
I think that I was around 20 years old, that I said, one day I will have my Winnebago. It was the big fashion, to travel and to visit United States and Canada and just go by yourself. But I had a job. I was working at Bell Canada. The salary coming in, it's very good, and was a security for me. So leaving the job and leaving for 6 months or a year, was not something that I was ready to do. But now I'm turning 61 years old, and I said, if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. And I think that right now, just to go for it. Of course, sometimes I am out of my comfort zone, but never really scared, but proud of me. Yes, I am able to do it. I've done it, and I don't have time also to get lonely, because there is so many things to discover, to read, to take picture, to send friends my story. So it's a small story, but it's mine, and I think that I prefer to be on the road and to do that by my own. I have many friends that don't have the same dream as me, so why stay home and wait to have someone that share the same dream that you have? Just go, do it, come back and share it with other people.
Wow. So, oh my gosh, so good. So if you don't see some inspiring messages in there, you're not paying attention, because there's so much in there. From having this dream from very young, something I say a lot to clients is the real dreams don't go away. So acting on them is so important, otherwise they go to the grave with you, and that makes me weep. So here's someone who's breaking a rule of women shouldn't travel alone, right? We hear that. She's doing it, and successfully doing it. being alone. It really, solitude is a beautiful thing.
I
Right?
think so.
Yeah. And if you love your own company, you're not alone. You're just like in delighted company of yourself. And you meet people along the way and have the adventures that come your way as you explore.
Exactly.
So how do you decide where to go?
Well, of course, you know, I'm Canadian. So, well, I decided to do the East Coast because I went to Florida several times to visit my parents that were snowboards. So thank you, Papa and Mama, you know, to show me the way to drive by myself on the beautiful road of the United States. And I think that, unfortunately, I don't know, you know, enough history of United States that I think that it is very, you know, I don't have the word, but it's very interesting to know. But you know, I start to read about all these, and I think that the East Coast, all these cities, they are so beautiful to discover. And right now, like Tara said, we are in Savannah, and just walking in the city, just looking and trying to understand or to view the history of all these old houses and people living in here. I think that it is very precious to us. So yeah, so that's
Beautiful.
yes.
So, advice. What tips do you have to someone, perhaps another woman who's considering something, whether it's traveling in an RV or whatever her dream is, that she's saying, well, I don't want to do it alone. What advice do you have for
Well,
her?
the advice would be, well, to try it first. And sometimes, you know, we think that we are lonely being by ourselves, but sometimes when we are surrounded by many people, sometimes we are more lonely than when we are in the presence of ourselves. And you know, to have the peace inside of us, that's the first thing. And yeah, to have always little projects, you know, projects such as writing a little note to someone, taking care of, you know, all the spent I have. So what should I do today? You know, sometimes they're not big projects. What should I visit? Or, but what I've done is that I tried it myself. I rent a trailer and I said, I'm gonna give myself a chance. And you don't listen to what others say. Oh, Cecile, you're too nervous. Oh, Cecile, this and Cecile, that. You go with your own space, whatever, your own, you take your time. And I'm sure that if you really want it, you'll do it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being lonely in a room full of people, right?
Yes.
So finding your centered space where you are at home with yourself, wherever that is. And what a great example you are for going for it. Yeah.
And treat yourself. It's
Yeah.
not because you are by yourself that you cannot cook yourself a small supper, you know, make yourself a nice evening, and just being happy to go to bed at night. To say,
Yeah.
hey, what a wonderful day I had, and what a beautiful day I will have tomorrow.
You know what?
You know?
I've got one more question for you. So this is something I get a lot. Tara, are you independently wealthy? Is that how you're able to travel? You know, maybe someday when I've got tons and tons of money, then I'll do it. Are you a millionaire? Do you
No,
mind if I
not
ask
at all.
you that?
Not at all. So I've got an apartment, you know, and I sublet the apartment. And I pray God, all the angel, you know, sometimes that really helps, you know. Even if you don't believe, you have to believe that something, that energy is helping you. You know, you're not by yourself. So I said, if I sublet my apartment, you know, for 6 months, then I'll come back and I still have my thing.
Yes.
And, you know, I'll have a small revenue that help me, you know, to go to a restaurant and to see Christmas show. And even if I'm by myself, there's always somebody
Yes.
besides you, like Tara. I just met Tara, and you know, we just discuss, and sometimes, you know, you go to the store and, you know, someone wish you a good day and ask you how you are. You know, small discussion or small contact sometimes are nicer than a long time that you spend with someone
Beautiful.
that
Yeah, beautiful. So, you know, what I hear in that is wealth on your own terms and finding your way, figuring it out, getting creative, whether it's sublet your apartment, that there is a way and that you don't have to wait for, oh, I need to be a millionaire first before I can, or any of that nonsense story. So there's so many rules you've broken. Thank you for being a rule breaker.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you so much for your time. It's such a pleasure to share Cecile with you all. And I hope her story inspires you to live your dreams, to break the rules, and to be you in the biggest, best way, boldest way that you can be in the world. And that really gives others permission to do the same. And that's what Cecile is living in her truth for sure. So I'm glad to connect. Bye, everybody from Savannah, Georgia.
Bye.
Much
Have
love.
a good day. Bye.
Bye.